I'd like to call the meeting to order. Like I've asked Commissioner Wynn to give the invocation.
Go ahead. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we just come to you this evening, and Father, we just ask that you just lead, God, and direct our conversation, our discussion. Lord, we just ask that you would just help us to conduct business of the people for this county, and Father, just in a manner that is reflective of you and honoring to you. Lord, we just ask that you be with us not only today as we discuss, and just also as we move forward and go out from this place. And it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes from December 5th.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I don't really have a report, but I would like to remind everybody about the rules of the committees as well as the commission, that you're always addressing the chair. I'm the mediator. So when speakers speak in the audience, address me, please. And when you have something you want to discuss, please address me, and everything will go a whole lot easier. So our county mayor is not here, so we don't have a report from him. And at this point, I'd like to recognize the public. We have one signed up. Mr. Wayne?
Thank you.
State your name and address, please.
Wayne Paget, 279 Bursby Branch Road. I've been in Sumner County, y'all have heard this a bunch of times, 51 years, and it's been good. It's just a few things, I'm not gonna get into anything in detail, but I want to make it known to several commissioners already know about this, but some don't. And anybody watching the meeting at home tonight, I want them to know about it. We have had several offers, three, I guess I should say three, to purchase the Cottontown Country Community Center and put money in the pockets of the Sumner County taxpayers. So far, I haven't heard anybody else put up any money to do what they want to do other than explain that they're going to finance it through donations. Now, it's hard for me to believe that you can raise $1 million with donations, but that one remains to be seen. I've got a check here tonight. If y'all want to see it, the county executive has seen it. Merrill knows about it, and David knows about it. And we're committed to keeping the space just like it looks today, with the exception of a pavilion and ball fields. We don't want any commercial ventures out there. And my understanding is if it's been told that it's not going to be sold, it's going to be giveaway. Mr. Mansfield put that post, excuse my back, Mr. Mansfield put that post out that it wouldn't be sold, it would be giveaway. Now, like I've told y'all before, and I hate to be redundant, taxpayers elected every one of y'all, and citizens. And there's not two people that live out there behind this committee that supposedly are chairing it, and they've got proxies now named to head it up. But they didn't put y'all in the position you're in. And the only thing I can appeal to you is to remember that. And I want everybody to consider taking this money instead of giving it away, or go through the surplus property procedure, whatever it is, to get rid of property, versus giving it to a political PAC. I know that's going to be kicked around, but right now it stands that the 501c4 is a political PAC. Y'all can take that for what it's worth. I'm sure y'all know a lot more about that stuff than I do. But we've got a lot of old people in Cottontown, my age, some older, some younger, that They don't fool with Facebook, they don't fool with, all this stuff that's been being posted on there, negative stuff and detrimental to everybody else's reputation. But they want it to stay just like it is today. There's nothing out there that needs to be saved. Y'all took care of that at the last commission meeting, and I thank you for it. When you passed the resolution, 23-0? Is that right? About the eminent domain thing. As far as I'm concerned, the eminent domain and the sewer line and the greenway is behind us. That's no longer an issue. I was told this week it still is. But I don't see how when y'all have got it on the record that it's been taken care of. And if y'all, I was asked to, I think somebody's done bid more on the property than I have, but I was told tonight she couldn't be here and to tell y'all that she's still committed. And we've got one other thing I want to really emphasize to you. If you're not satisfied with the amount of this check I've got here in my pocket, or her check, we're willing to have the property appraised. If you decide you want to sell it, get it out of the county's name, we're willing to bring somebody in and appraise it and pay you what you appraise for. And I don't know what else we could present to y'all to convince you not to go the route that was proposed early on when a man walked up here and said, give it to me, give it to me. God forbid of it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Mr. Padgett. Well, that's the end of recognition of the public, so we're gonna move to old business. 8A, Cottontown County Property Hazard Mitigation Grant Project.
Chairman,
Yes.
can I make a motion to group items A, B, and C and table these items?
I'll second that.
And we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Passes 6-1. All right, so that moves us to D, the EMS facility at Shackle Island.
That's the courthouse.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I turned the wrong page. Okay. The county courthouse parking. There's really nothing to vote on, but as far as an informative thing, the city of Gallatin is meeting tonight to approve what the mayor of Gallatin and the county mayor agreed to, which was what we originally thought was the deal. Their share, and I believe that was $2.4 million contribution by the city of Gallatin and $1.2 million for the Smith Street improvements. Hopefully it'll pass through the city of Gallatin tonight, so we really have nothing to discuss until we hear what that vote is. So we'll just leave that on old business and we'll hear for our next meeting. Item E, the Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department. Their requested materials and information for due diligence. We have not received anything from them. And I would like to, before we make a motion on anything with that, I'd like to explain my visit to that facility. I went out there several weeks ago, and the captain was not there, but the EMS people that were on site. They have EMS people there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so they showed me around what was there. So I looked at the property to the north that is the former dump, and you know, it's treed and everything. It's grown over quite a bit. And then I walked through the inside of the building, and they have some really nice equipment. They have a couple of fire engines, big fire engines. They have an ambulance, which is provided for by the EMS. They have a water tanker out back and a brush truck that are not inside. And they have ordered another water tanker. And so one of the things I did was I talked to EMS and asked what their frequency of calls and visitations are for fires. Actually, I asked for everything, but the fires were what I was specifically concerned about since it's a volunteer fire department. And they have about 40 calls a year, is all they're asking, or all they're being called for when it comes to fires.
I'm Captain Wayne Brown, Oak Grove Fire Department. I do have a packet here if
Okay,
it's out of order.
it would be out of order for me to take it right now, but I can take
Okay.
it afterwards,
All right.
and we can have it for the next meeting. Thanks. So anyway, I know that we don't have any responsibility to build infrastructure for volunteer fire departments. And so, I'm always wanting to help the emergency services in any way we can. However, it was my opinion that with that few fire calls in any given year, I don't know, it would seem to me that if they sold one of the fire engines and put the brand new water tanker inside, they would accomplish what they're looking for. And so I'm open, to his packet and to any argument he would have for that. But at this point in time, I don't see the need. So I don't. At this point, I would take any motion for anything that anybody on the committee would like to, if you would like to discuss or take an action on it.
I'd like to make a motion to discuss.
Okay. Will we have a second? Second. Okay. All in favor? Oh. All opposed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not until we have anything else to look at.
Okay. Where does that leave us?
Well, since I'm the only one that voted, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
In favor of discussion?
I'm not in favor of discussion. I voted no.
I voted no with you.
Okay, so we had 2 noes. Let's take that vote over. All in favor of discussion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2, 3.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what he.
Okay, all in favor to deny?
No.
No.
Okay. I guess I'm the tiebreaker. I would like to deny it. I think the packet that he's got, we can always bring it up again, but at this point in time, I have to have a whole lot more.
And at that point, it would go under new business, correct?
Yeah, we can actually put it under new business for next month, but because we don't have any information more
Yes.
than what I just gave you, I think
Okay.
we can put
Just
it
wanted
on
to
the
make sure that
agenda
was
for
the-
next time.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
All right, denies 4-3, so we'll move on to new business.
We got F,
I'm sorry.
item F.
Okay, that's right, that was on that. The administrative building and archive building roofs. As of today, we have 2 very minor leaks in the administrative building. So it's not serious, and we will handle those. Terry, could you address what you've come up with on the archive building?
Well,
Mr. Chairman, can we get a motion to discuss? We're doing
Oh,
a lot of
okay,
discussion
I'm sorry,
outside of
you're
motion,
right,
but
right.
motion.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, sorry.
I've been going up on the building and, checking things out, cause that building's leaking pretty bad there, And should I stand up? Can we stand up?
No, you're fine.
We had some holes in the roof that we had got fixed. And this morning, I went up, it's been raining all that night, wind blowing. And as of right now, it's not leaking. So we got that, but we still need to get the roof, we still need to get that done.
Yeah, but you took a roofer up there Wednesday.
Yes, he patched some holes too, he found a few holes, and, which I found some too, and I fixed, he fixed some too, so they're not leaking.
And his recommendation was that the roof is fine.
The roof is fine, but the siding
The
needs to be
parapet walls, the
Yes.
vinyl siding is bad.
bad.
Okay.
We're talking about the archive building or?
Archive building,
Archive.
archive building. And so, I I met him that day last Wednesday, and we're going to get an estimate from him on what we're talking about on replacing the vinyl siding. He's made a suggestion that we use the same material that's on the roof, which is EPDM. And their company is one that could remove the handrails that are up there that are in really bad shape and make all the modifications, which are not many, on that roof. And I believe it'll cost us a lot less, but I will have an estimate that I will pass on to everybody in email.
So, Mr. Chairman, if we can, because I think we have to, and maybe our law director can add clarification, but do we not have to bid that out?
We will.
Okay, and so then would we just not need to come up with the criteria to get it done and then just have it go out to bid?
We have, as I understand it right now, an allotment for $450,000 to repair that roof. I'm certain that what will be the ultimate price will be substantially less than that.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that we get at least one good faith estimate to understand what we're dealing with, and then we'll go ahead and put it out to bid. But at this point, it's not leaking.
Right, so, let me, I guess, articulate this better. We would really need to say what we want fixed to get an estimate or put out to bid. And I
Right.
think, we need to discuss that? Are you proposing we wait another month to get a bid back and then decide what we want to actually bid out?
Well, depending on what it costs to get it done, we may or may not have to involve an architect. And so if the architect's involved, we would be being redundant by making recommendations or specifications to get the work done. And that's why I want to get it, at least get a ballpark figure on it.
Mr. Chairman, the mayor was checking on that, whether or not an engineer had to be involved, correct? Was that answer received from Mr. Sittler, or are you aware of that question that the mayor was going to propose about whether or not we could do that under repairs versus
You have to have
an actual
a,
structural change?
yes, I was posed with that question, and you do have to, if it involves structural changes or exceeds $50,000, then you have to have a licensed architect or engineer submit the plans and provide the estimate.
It's either
forward.
or, not both.
Well, it could be both. If it could have been under 50, but there could have been some structural issues. Then you would still have to get the architect or engineer involved.
So the question that Mr. Chairman proposed last month was, could we do it in sections to avoid getting over the 50,000 mark? Since we know it's not changing anything structurally, is there a way to avoid that cost?
My response to the mayor on that was, if you could carve it out to where you could truly call it distinctive repairs, that you could demarcate and say this is a $50,000 repair. If it's obvious that it's a $250,000 repair being chopped up to get around the licensed architect, for example, it's really it's one complete project, you're just dividing it up for cost reasons, then I think you're playing a dangerous game there, and I would advise you to get the architect or the engineer.
That's all I have.
Well, we'll
Look at that once we get the quote back.
we'll take steps at a time and figure out, because removing the handrail, if the entire commission agrees to do that, that's a substantially different thing than repairing the parapet wall. So we'll just have to see. I think we're on the beginning throes of it. But the good news is that Commissioner Moss has been able to get all the leaks stopped at this point in time. And boy, if it made it through today's rain, it's gonna.
I just wanted to mention that to make sure it was on everybody's
No,
mind
that's-
still, that
There's a good
our
question.
focus is to get around that if we can
Yeah,
legally.
it was a good question, and I should have probably conveyed that to the committee, but I hadn't, so I'm glad you brought it up.
So, Mr. Chairman, what was included in the quote that was requested? What did we ask for a quote, or what did you ask for a quote?
I haven't asked yet.
Okay.
What I have to do is get him some square footage figures. And it will be twofold. It will be to replace the siding with the EPDM, and the second will be to remove the handrail. It will be two separate good faith estimates and then we'll move from there.
Gotcha. Okay. I almost think if that's the direction that the committee wants to go, why don't we just vote that instead of you as the chairman just doing
Vote what?
it to get it done? You
For
know,
those-
to put it out to bid and let's get this thing done.
Well, because we don't know if we need an architect involved or not yet. You know, I have no idea what it's going to cost, so I want to get a good faith estimate. If he comes in at $60,000, that's one issue. We got to bring in an architect. If he comes in at $30,000, that's a different issue.
I think we would know that through the bidding process, would we not?
Well, what are they bidding?
The criteria, if it's removal of the handrail, replacing the parapet
The
wall.
criteria has to be developed either by the architect or by this committee. And since we don't know what the cost is, we can't create the specifications for it yet.
Okay.
The architect is getting in the way.
So, okay, then there's really no action to take on that until.
Mr. Chairman, one more question. You had mentioned the $450,000-ish that was already
Originally.
appropriated for that a long time ago?
Yeah,
Is that only for the archive building, or is that for both roofs?
I believe it's just for the archive building,
Okay, so there's something else totally when we talk about this one.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did get a specification sheet a couple of years ago by a roofing professional, and that professional ended up with about a $450,000 bill. I don't think it's going to be that much, but I don't know what the direction was when that professional came up with the estimate.
Gotcha.
So,
I just want to make sure it was separate
yeah.
funds. And one more point to note, you and I, and maybe Terry, have been up on that roof. A lot of people think those handrails are just wooden handrails that may be in bad shape. That is solid aluminum. There's a lot of value there.
Well,
and
these
we
ones-
just have to know that that's,
These ones here those are made of a different material.
okay, I know these are. So
These are
the vote
aluminum.
is to remove, something needs to be addressed with what they do with those. They don't need to be scrapped or let somebody else
Right.
have them when they remove them. That's a lot of
It's a lot of aluminum.
scrap metal up there, yes.
So, okay, moving on to new business.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to group and approve all the new business.
Oh,
A second.
They seem to be all dealing with the same thing. Is that appropriate?
Well,
Can we just
the A is something different. That was a list that the county mayor came up with.
I'm sorry, it's the flooding ones.
Okay, well, let's wait till we get to that. So this is
Yeah.
new business A. This is fiscal year 2016 to 2022 capital projects needs list. Now, the county mayor brought us a list that started in 2016, and it was things that have never been handled. And that is on the following 3 pages. I did highlight the items in gray that he said would probably go away because when the list was started, there was no plan for a new courthouse. And the new courthouse will take care of a lot of these things. So really, this is, we can, somebody could make a motion for discussion or for action. I'm open to it. There's a lot here. It's varied in its dimensions. So the very last page is about HVAC equipment that is under it's all equipment that has R22 Freon, which is being phased out of the society. So that is something that is going to be of a more urgent need, I think, than a lot of this other stuff. But I would entertain a motion to discuss or a motion to take an action on anything depending on,
Motion to discuss.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So I want to just talk more, hone in on the HVAC units.
Okay.
And let's just kind of break these down, because to your point, there's a lot on there. And I think just looking at those HVAC units would be a good place to start. In part of the notes that the mayor provided us, there is $100,000 budgeted. I checked with Mr. Long today, that's unspent so far, so that's still $100,000 is intact for HVAC, various HVAC projects, capital projects. There's also $10,603 remaining in HVAC for the old courthouse, which is the remainder of another $100,000 budgeted line item, which potentially would be funds that would be able to utilize. And there's $10,000 budgeted for improvements to the Ag Extension Office, noted for electrical lighting upgrades. That $10,000 is unspent as well, and according to these notes, that work's already completed, so there will be some additional funding there. But just through the conversation with David, it really came down to his recommendation was, do we as a committee want to tackle these all 32 units as one big project, or just do as they go, as they need, just as we go? And just in the conversation with him, I think it's probably makes most sense to do these as we go and just replace them as we need to, or just plan to have X number per year replaced. And we could actually use some of those ARPA funds to do that as well. So we could augment any of our budgeted, if there's a budget shortfall, so say we exceed $100,000 which is budgeted, ARPA funds could make that up. David also mentioned some different scenarios to where, if those ARPA funds get used to, say, purchase ambulances, and then there's extra funds in the capital, those could be used for HVAC replacements as well. And then just the lifespan of the unit, I don't think we've got the information as to how much estimated lifespan's left on those units. And then as soon as we replace one, it kind of starts the lifespan on the replacement. So I think delaying those, I guess, as long as possible makes the most sense. But the minute they need repair or servicing, just replace it.
Yeah, I had the same conversation with him today, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because if we get to a point where we're December 2024, and we have to spend what's left of the ARPA funds, we can buy other things that are more urgent. And so what I was going to do was I was going to visit each one of these locations and take pictures of the labels and see how old each one of them is, and listen to them run and determine which ones were in better shape or worse shape. With air conditioning equipment, especially with compressors, you don't know they're going to go bad till they break. You have some indications from leakage of Freon, but you just never know. So I'm inclined to do it sooner than later, but I think we should start with the oldest units or the worst sounding, worst running units, and then move forward. So I agree with you. Anybody else?
I haven't covered it. It says on your shaded items are suggested to be on hold, but nothing came through shaded.
Yeah, I don't see. Oh, really?
Just for note.
Yeah,
There,
I
it's
didn't.
not,
So,
mine's not.
Mine's
No,
not
yeah,
either.
they didn't come
Oh.
through shade, the
Oh,
copies
darn.
didn't.
So
Mine's not either.
that may be creating some confusion,
Okay.
first of all. And the
Okay.
second thing, I know that we talked about Comfort Group and we're under an annual contract with them. Did anybody receive a copy of that contract so that
No.
we know?
no.
So I really don't think we can make any decisions on anything until we know what that contract
Yes.
is through Comfort Group.
Yeah, I agree.
I talked with David today and asked him that question, and he said he believes it was a service contract, so just do servicing. So the replacement of, we just need to go through the bid process to do that. And if they were low bid, we would get that anyway. But
Okay, well, that's good information. 'Cause
he wanted us to go back, or he wanted to have the law director go back and check that contract, just to double check it, but he said it was a
Hang on a
service.
second, Tim. Commissioner Brown?
I tend to agree with Commissioner Wynn on the fact that some of those HVAC units are going to be reciprocating compressors, others are going to be scrolls. Scrolls will break on it.
Mhm.
reciprocating can last forever. As long as you keep the Freon in there, they'll last forever. So, going on a situation of which is going to break and all that kind of stuff, I just let them run until they do break.
Yeah, well, the only
I
problem.
know the funding is
Yeah,
the issue.
yeah, so,
And some of them are on the R22 system.
well, all of
And it's
these,
expensive.
all of
them
these are R22, which is up like $400 a pound now. It's just,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would almost make the motion to just replace as they need service.
Mhm.
So the minute they need to have R22 added, just replace it.
yeah,
You know, so don't service it, just replace it.
Yeah.
Any type of service needed, just replace
I
it.
still think we need to see that contract and make sure that we're
Yeah.
not breaking any contracts.
yeah, and I would like to see them and see a history of the repairs done on them. If one's leaking Freon, it has to be recharged every 6 months, it's a problem.
To that point, you may be able to get a lot of information from the guys that have served us that before you go out and take the snapshots of the things and listen to them yourself. I appreciate what Commissioner Wynn's done with the researching the different funds that are available. Has anybody done any work on getting just somewhat of a quote on what these units cost to replace? Something of equal size, to know if that is even gonna come close to touching what it would cost to replace how many of them.
Yeah, and so with the conversation with David today, it was essentially this committee would just need to address the need. Hey, there's a need and here's how we want to address it. It's either all one big project, and once we make that decision, or it's case by case, then he said that the budget committee or his office could help us determine what's the best route as far as the financial aspect of that on how to address it with the
To that
funding.
point, when you're asking the questions you need to ask from Comfort Group, maybe you could ask them just for a, ballpark range of what is
Yeah.
one of these units gonna cost for the new version of this system.
They had talked about that, but they haven't gotten us anything yet, and these are very different systems. Some are split systems, some are just chillers.
Yeah, I saw the 20 and the 1, and Commissioner Wynn was talking about 32. There's some other ones, 11 more somewhere.
Yeah, 20, there was one at the Hendersonville Health Department, I think there's 3 at the Children of People, 1 at the Gallatin Health Department, 3 at the Westmoreland Library, 3 at the Sheriff's Department, the firing range, and then there was the 1 chiller here at this building.
Yeah, there's,
And none of those were in the crossed out section that's already
no,
in him? Okay.
no, they're all, they all need to be looked at, and so that's what I was gonna do probably this week.
I'm just gonna
so.
say, I think that the comfort group is gonna be the key with a lot of information. If they're servicing, they're gonna have
Records.
all of that information, like
Right.
what year they are, how many times they've been serviced, and all of those things. And I think that might save a lot of work, or some footwork for you,
Yeah.
or whoever wants to go look at them. And they may just
Yeah.
have that in a report that they can send to you.
Yeah,
Commissioner Klein, just a couple of things to keep in mind too. Number one, lead time on buying these units. And 2, if you can get a bulk discount. So if you could do, if there's 32, if you could do 10 at a time, and it'd be cheaper, that might be something to consider too.
yeah, good thought, good thought. Okay, any more discussion? All right. And then the last item,
If this is, okay,
This
to
is what
group and
we-
approve, yeah. All of item B.
A second.
okay, all in favor?
What are-
We're gonna
what are
group
we-
and approve
9B,
9B, all,
Seems to be all the
1 through
same
4, they're all
subject,
basically
basically.
the same
Is
subject.
there a dollar amount associated with these? Are we just saying that, yes, this happened? What are we approving?
I just wanna open up
Discuss
the-
all
this
together.
discussion.
Okay.
So, the motion is to group and approve, all in favor?
To discuss it?
To group and approve and discuss them together.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I think you probably all know about this, but just for the people in the audience, we had 4 ruptured pipes over the Christmas weekend. Actually, 3 were over the weekend, and then 1 was Wednesday after Christmas. This building here, we had a frozen water sprinkler line in the northwestern corner on the 3rd floor that flooded pretty substantially all the way down the wall into the basement. Millersville Library had a lavatory pipe rupture, and when a neighbor drove by it, called somebody because she saw water running out the front door. There was about 2 inches in there, so they had to close the library. On Wednesday after Christmas, the Gallatin Library had a fire sprinkler, I think it was a flex line that ruptured and did some damage, but not nearly as much as this building or the Millersville Library. And then the juvenile court building, which we do not own, we only rent that building, had a fire sprinkler rupture in the front area where the front doors are. So that's the really the sum of things with that. I would entertain a motion to discuss this if we'd like to.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
made. Second, Tim. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Number 4, you said it's not county owned, wouldn't that fall on the landlord
It,
to fix and pay that?
It's a leased building.
yeah.
So that
And
really
so-
shouldn't have to be.
Yeah, so they will take care of that
Okay.
because we were concerned about documentation and using the building and stuff. We did the cleanup, which was fairly minor. It was just mopping up water effectively. So yeah, that was not a big deal, like I said.
Was anything destroyed in that?
In the
The juvenile
juvenile?
court?
No, nothing was destroyed.
Good. Blessing.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The Millersville Library, do we not have water flow sensors on those sprinklers? Is there not a fire alarm there?
Well, it wasn't a fire,
It was the
it wasn't
bathroom.
fire sprinkler, it was the lavatory in the bathroom.
Women's restroom.
And so it was a domestic water line that blew, and so there wouldn't be an alarm
I was
on
under the impression that it was a sprinkler.
It's-
it. Everything
No.
else was,
Everything.
that was the one that wasn't.
Mr. Chairman, the thing that concerns me about these, like what Commissioner Rogers was getting at, I think, is getting to the cause of these problems as to why it happened, to make it not happen again. A lot of people have not seen temperatures this cold, but it has been this cold before. A lot of people don't remember it if you haven't grown up here, but it has. And we need to make sure that things are taken care of to where they don't do and people held accountable for. Like that one that was the flex line on the sprinkler line. Do we even know that was to codes? That was the one Jeff was talking to us about.
Right.
We don't know that was even built to codes. It was hidden away in the ceiling, and it was a flex line put on a sprinkler system.
Right.
I don't even know that that's
I'm meeting with Jeff tomorrow,
allowed.
and we're gonna run over there.
Finding out the contractor who did that,
Yeah,
holding them accountable may be an issue. But the one in this building, that renovations were made of the building and the sprinkler system was neglected. I guess that's why you need an engineer for projects over a certain amount of money. But the sprinkler was behind a wall.
right.
And so it wasn't doing its job as a fire suppression, and it was exposed to outer elements because it was in the attic. So
Yes.
that's why it froze.
And the-
And we have a lot of those in the rest of
In
the
those
corners of the
dormers.
building where that attic was turned into the 3rd floor offices.
Right.
So that needs to be looked at and fixed, all those places.
Yeah, I think we need to get a professional of some sort who will assess that, because as the 3 of us discussed when we were up there, every one of those dormers has a concealed fire sprinkler that's in an unconditioned airspace
Plus the corners.
that could have done the same thing, and we can't afford,
Because there could be 6 to 8 of those
yeah,
potential problems.
yeah, and so I agree, and we'll jump on that with the mayor. Well, maybe this week still. I'll talk to him tomorrow too about it.
So I know that obviously it was an emergency when the flood, it flooded the buildings. So what is the next step? Do we get bids for repairs?
Well, that's a curious question, because where does it stop being an emergency and being a biddable contract type of work? Yeah.
In my opinion, the emergency's over. I mean, it's not flooding anymore and they're back to work. But repairs have not been made, is that correct?
Well, they've,
Renovations, like fixing the floor, fixing the walls and paint, the
Right.
repairs,
yeah,
the repairs haven't been,
I mean, it's gonna
Made
be
yet,
through
right?
insurance, correct?
yeah.
There's gonna be a deductible for the insurance,
so I
so,
think this lull period right now, the emergency's over.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Now starts the, I mean, would everybody agree that that's where we're at right
Maybe
now?
Commissioner Moss can address what has been done that would fall under emergency and what would fall under non-emergency.
Well, they're tearing the walls out right now, getting all the insulation out.
Who is they? I'm sorry, who is they?
Serpro.
Serpro, okay.
So they're still doing the
They're
emergency
still,
phase.
got all the fans and still getting water out of the floors, which there's a lot of water in the floors.
So it's basically still in mitigation?
Right.
Okay.
And so what we have to do is when they get through doing what they're doing, I guess they're gonna get somebody to come in and put the sheetrock back up and all.
So none of that work really has started yet.
Right.
Okay. Now, I know that we were in the process of putting floors up there. I think it's Joey's who's doing the floor?
Yeah, Joey's.
Are they warranting what got wet, or do you know anything about
I
that?
don't know anything about that part.
Well, I'm so new at this, I have to ask the man who's been around for a long time, what has been the standard in a situation where it's an emergency? Where does it cross over?
Well, I face this as superintendent and director of schools many times. We've had things as severe as partial roofs blowing off schools to minor things happen. And the state usually accepts an emergency purchase order if you have an emergency like severe damage in a building. And they are pretty kind in letting you cover a lot of things in an emergency purchase order, an emergency situation. The auditors are very forgiving in that kind of situation. However, we always tried to bid as much as possible, just mitigate, and if we were able to get back to work, get things up and running, and still have damages to repair, and it didn't interfere with the operation, we would always try to bid that out and begin additional repairs in, just to be very economical with taxpayers' money.
Mr. Chairman, would that mean we determine where the emergency stops at?
I would say that the county executive would actually determine if he issued the purchase order, and then it would be up to the state auditors to determine if it truly was an emergency purchase order, because if you, they're certainly going to see that and pull it in an annual audit if you have a $100,000 purchase order that's not in a bid process. Then that's when whoever wrote that purchase order would have to explain what all the purchase covers. What I'm saying is that nothing about who does what. It's the reasonable thing to do is if you can get up and running and make your operation such that you can serve the public you
They're
need to
already-
bid out as
they're
much
already
as
doing that.
possible.
Yeah,
That's
To
what, that's
save
why I'm
money.
saying, I believe we're there.
yeah, we
Because
are.
they're
We are there.
running, and I know that they're still cutting walls and trying to get the remainder of the water and keep from mold happening, things like that. Once that's done, it sounds like the real emergency is over. So that's what I'm saying, should we go into the bid process now? Or
Well, it
should we
sounds
let
to
it
me
ride,
like,
let
it
somebody else
sounds to
keep
me
fixing
like
it?
they may have gone ahead and obligated, I'm not sure.
Oh,
I mean, somebody's already taken sheet rock out and. it
that's
dried
ServPro,
up.
but that's
Yeah.
ServPro.
That would go
Is
through
that
the-
That's the emergency. I'm talking about putting the sheetrock back.
That, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
ServPro's the
What's-
emergency part of the plan.
Correct, and it's gonna fall under an insurance deductible. So, but, I mean, I just think that it's not, fiscally responsible to not get bids. You just, I don't know. That's my opinion.
Okay. Well, what I can do is I can meet with the mayor tomorrow, if he's in, I think he's in. And we can discuss it, because I think you're right. I think at this point, the emergency is taken care of, and now we need a drywall contractor. I mean, every department that was flooded appears to be functioning, you know, from the top through the Ds down into the DMV. And so, at this point, we need a drywall contractor, maybe flooring contractor, and a painter. And that can happen in the bidding process, I would think.
I don't know where we are now, what obligations have been made, but I will say from my experience, and, well, we spent about 80% of the county's money in the school system, but I think that Chrissy is right on the nail head with what she's saying. If it's possible to get up and running, then everything you possibly can from that point to save money. It would just be a wise thing, if nothing else, it would be very wise to bid it.
Okay,
So maybe we define what we've hired ServPro to do and exactly what we committed to do with them, and then go from there, maybe, so that we don't have overlaps. Cause
Yes.
I don't know what we hired ServPro to do, like how much we just hired them to do.
yeah.
I don't believe they will start putting anything back. Their job is to
I've
stop the
never had to
damage.
use them.
Yeah, my experience with them is they don't put anything back, they just stop the bleeding. So,
Fair enough.
if it's okay, if it's the will of the committee, I will meet with the mayor tomorrow, see where we are with ServPro, see where he's at with everything else. And is the appropriate thing, Mr. Hyde, then to send an email out to everybody at this table with my discovery with him?
Sounds to me like it would be. I certainly would like to know.
Okay, okay, and then we can either call an emergency meeting, or maybe this is something we can do via email, I don't know.
This could be expedited. I think you'd have to meet in person and have a
Okay.
posted meeting, but still, I think it could be expedited if it's possible.
Yeah, okay, well,
If, may I suggest, if most of us come to the meetings next Monday, maybe we could do something
Yeah, we could
at
do
that
it.
time, since we'll all be here anyway.
yeah, we
Just
could do
a
an
suggestion,
early, a 6 o'clock meeting or something,
an aside or something,
because it won't take long.
just a suggestion.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
and I may be mistaken, I'm trying to find it in my email using my cell phone, but I wanna say that I think I remember seeing some emergency POs. Gallatin, flooring was one. There was another restore renovation company that was one. And someone else.
For this work?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't see them.
I apologize then
No, it's,
but I almost know I saw them somewhere.
if you find them, could you forward them to this committee?
I will.
Thank you, thank you.
What is the procedure, since we won't know if he is correct and we do find out the bid process was skipped? Is there something, what do we do at that point in time? You're gonna talk with him on something
I'm
that's
gonna talk.
potentially already going.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk at first, and then I'll email this group, and, you know,
A matter of what the scope of that purchase order.
Yeah, that's,
he's always my go-to, so.
Do you have any advice on that, if it's a certain range or what the scope was? I guess we just handle it after we find out tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we just gotta, I have to meet with the mayor tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing here. Since so many of these were our fire suppression systems, and I know in one of our maintenance list items, we had, was to have the jails fire suppression inspected. Would it not be wise and prudent to maybe evaluate the rest of the buildings in the county? I think we're talking like 32 different structures. I know the county's got 55 buildings. A lot of those are just storage facilities, 17 for the
Yeah,
highway department vehicles. But there's about 32, I think, actual buildings that people work out
well, I
of.
think Jeff was talking that there's a 5-year inspection.
Yeah, the
Why
fire
wasn't it
marshal.
caught then?
Yeah, when was the last time the inspection was done? And if it hasn't, then, and I don't know if it was just for the jail that, that was required for, but
You know,
is that something we need to look at for the
I'll
rest of the
find,
buildings?
I'll find
I
out.
understand, because you and I, all three looked at that pipe going through the wall and said, that don't look right. And I think a fire inspector would say the same thing about a building that had been remodeled and sprinklers hidden. That troubles me. At least maybe the ones that have been renovated in the last 10 to 20 years,
And I
have
think
them
it's good just
inspected.
to have them checked periodically, you know, because like the flex line, would that be caught, you know? I don't know.
I don't think that ever would have got caught because it's up inside of a ceiling system, but maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly where it was and even what it looks like. Jeff just described it to me, which is why I want to look at it with him tomorrow. But the point's well taken, Tim, that, you know, we need to make sure that the buildings that we own are in top working order so that we don't pay fortunes in flooding and other things.
I don't disagree with Commissioner Wynn. We need to see to what extent they are being inspected.
Yeah.
If it's a 5-year interval and they walk around and check, yep, that head's still on, it's not broken, but they're not actually looking at the system up in the ceiling, then how good is that inspection? Maybe that's why I said, look at the buildings that have been renovated or remodeled in the last 10 to 20 years. Like, that was done in the, what?
2010, I think.
So that, you know,
Yeah.
nobody has looked at behind the walls since
Yeah.
12, 13 years.
Right.
And when you look at our buildings, our average building age, at least that we've had them, is about 27 years, you know, so we're in that older building. I think more proactive, just checking is something we're gonna have to start doing, or we're gonna deal with pipe burst and just on a more frequent basis. So it could be where the ounce of prevention could be worth a pound of cure on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
And just how do we get there?
Yeah.
Is something I think we need to work through.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's where, you know, the hard work comes with this committee, and then we find, you know, we find what we need to do, and then we hire the proper professionals to do it. So I think that's been neglected maybe over the years, and so we need to get on top of it, so. All right, any more discussion on that? Then we have one more.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. Thank you all. Good meeting.
I think I need to stay here. Get up, I think I stay here.